Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. Welcome, everybody, to my Independence Report. It is Monday, March 1st. My gosh, March 1st already. It's amazing.
Where does time go?
It just goes so fast, so fast. And we are really, I don't say blessed very often, but today I'm going to use the word blessed because we really are. We have a wonderful individual here. I keep wanting to call her Nancy Wilson, but her name is because Nancy Wilson is from Hart and she's from Seattle. But this is Nancy Nelson. She used to be from Seattle. She grew up in the Arlington area and then spent the last 50 years in the city of Sin, Las Vegas.
That's it.
In that area.
And such a sweet face, too, huh?
Well, just next time that you are wandering through a casino, remember, red 32.
Oh!
Red 32.
Well, don't tell anyone, but having lived here this long, you would think that I'd spend a little money in that world. You know, $100 maybe. I'm just not a gambler. And I say I never win anything. They say, Nancy, you got to play.
No, I call gambling giving because that's all I do.
That is a whole different look at that, isn't it?
It is because if I have extra money that I'm going to give them so that they can build that beautiful building that they've got.
That's right.
I'll do that, but sadly it happens that I don't have much money to give very often. So it's because I never win. It's like and you can burn. Well, you can burn through $100 in 15 minutes if you're not careful.
Oh, much less than that, actually. Yeah, it can go fast.
Indeed.
And then what? Yeah. And then you're unhappy.
then you don't have any money for dinner, and then
right.
You end up having to sell your car, and it gets to be nasty. So in any event, I am really pleased that you're here because you are, first of all, a very brave individual, and I appreciate that about you. So tell us your story, if you would.
I will. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on your show. I'm blessed to be on your show. I was raised up in the Pacific Northwest. I came to Nevada when I was 21 years old. With a young daughter to live with my parents. And I played and worked and all of that. And suddenly I found in 2002 that my dad had passed from Alzheimer's disease. It didn't hit me. I didn't think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because it just didn't. And so when I got diagnosed in 2013, I was surprised when my youngest daughter and I were in the doctor's office and we were waiting for the decision, and the doctor said, you have early onset Alzheimer's. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. And so then I had to take a minute, and all of a sudden, words from above kept coming down to me. And I was writing them every morning between 3 and 5 a.m. in the morning. And they were just words. Now, they were words that had something to do with what I was thinking about, what I was going through. A diagnosis? What diagnosis? What does this mean for me? You know, I didn't know whether to be fearful. I didn't know whether to be angry. I just didn't know. And so I took a few minutes, and then finally I said, oh my gosh, I have a choice here. I'm at a crossroads. I can either look at this as, oh dear, or I can look at this as, you know what? I'm going to start talking about my journey so that in my journey, I can help others. And if I help others, I started to figure out I feel so much better. So that's how I got started in this, and that's how I became an advocate through the Alzheimer's Association, Cleveland Clinic, Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health here in Las Vegas. And so that's where I've spent my time, is that I've been doing that. And so I feel better about where I am. And my dad passed in 2002 from the complications of Alzheimer's.
I'm so sorry. But
Well,
I've got the feeling, and I could be wrong, but I've got the feeling that when you continue to be engaged, when you continue to work at doing stuff and keeping your mind active, does that, do you think, slow down the effects and even arrest them to some degree?
Yes, I think that when you I think when you're thinking of something else, I've said this all along, when things happen to your family and you are concerned about them, or someone comes up to you and says, oh my gosh, I really appreciate what you've said today when I'm speaking or something, then that takes me out of me and puts me in you. And I know that by reading and listening to you, that it does make you feel better, and it softens the blow of you have early onset Alzheimer's.
I have some experience with this. My grandmother had Alzheimer's and she passed from it. My mother has been diagnosed, and she refuses to admit it, of course.
Does she? Yeah, denial.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in my grandmother's case, she denied it for a long, long time, until she was in her apartment one day and she called her daughter and said, there are people talking in my apartment. You need to come get these people out of here.
Yeah.
It was a television set.
Yeah.
And so at that point, she had lost her cognitive ability to function.
Right. I'm so sorry.
And as you know, it's a progressive disease, and that happens to a lot of folks.
It really does, and it changes your personality. And suddenly you have a stranger in your kitchen, and it's sad.
And you are an advocate. You are working hard. You've written 3 books.
I have.
And let's talk about your books a little bit. They're all poetry, I believe, correct?
They are poetry. I couldn't manage chapters. So in those mornings when I was writing words, I was writing short sentences, right? And one thing led to another, and I started showing people what I was writing. And one thing led to another, and one book turned into 2, turned into 3. I have book number 4, but it's not published. And what it is a chronicle of how I've acted and reacted. And please, Kevin, I am no expert. I am right here with all of the rest of the people that are wondering about dementia, and walking through it, and just doing the best that I know how, and changing with whatever they come up with next. Discerning whether, do you really want to take that? Do you want to go this step? And over these 7 or 8 years, what they say to you should do has changed.
That's amazing.
Right? Right. Nothing stays the same, does it? And this doesn't either.
It's my analogy is like, remember when butter was bad for you?
Oh, yeah.
And then you should have margarine instead, because margarine.
And you mix that yellow stuff in that white stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. And then they figured out that butter was better for you than margarine was, because it's natural and stuff. So things flip around as we gain knowledge.
Right. Very, very easily. Yeah. Very easily.
But I wanted to ask you is that, Alzheimer's is a kind of a dirty little secret, in that people don't want to talk about it.
They don't.
They know.
It's insidious. They don't. No.
And it is so important that someone like you and get out and talk about it so that people can understand what some of the symptoms are, what the long-term ramifications are, the ways that you can stave off the changes that happen and all of that. I'm real thrilled to have you here because
Oh, thanks. Thank
it's
you. I'm
it's
thrilled to be
really
here.
it's important to get rid of the stigma and I'm not going to
It
talk about
is. It is. And uh, uh, I was not, people that know me when I was much, much younger, they don't know who I am. The one that stands up and says, "Hey, sorry, have to say this, but I don't remember." Um, and I wear one earring. And I love it when people come up and because I started wearing these earrings like this because I was losing one earring and I thought, holy cow. So then I started wearing one as a silent awareness to Alzheimer's. So when people say to me, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, do you know that you've lost an earring?" I said, "Thank you so much for noticing. It gives me an opportunity." It's a silent, devotional to people with Alzheimer's. And then the conversation starts, and before you know it, most everybody knows somebody that knows somebody.
oh
And
yeah.
and so you get to talk about it in a positive way because there is hope. There is hope. And I think I love your program, and I love the reason that you the independence, my independence. I think that's just I'm in the right place.
You are, doggone it. because
I'm
it's
in the
what
right place.
it's about in my world. It's about declaring our freedom from hate, division, and fear.
Oh
And
boy, there's enough
one
of
of
that out there, isn't there?
there surely is. And one of those things that people are fearful of is having Alzheimer's or really having any terminal disease. It's a long-term terminal thing.
That
Uh,
is noticeable to other people, right? If you
yes.
have a disease, I mean, how many people can walk around for a long time with heart disease or cancer or other diseases and nobody knows unless you would tell them. If you're standing as I was at the front of a business meeting and I was speaking and all of a sudden it all goes away. Yeah, Miss Independence. What was that like? That was terrible, right? And so you got to, it's like, wow, what do I do? Or if you see somebody walking on a street and they're bumbling a little bit and whatever, and what's the first thing you think? First thing you think is, well, maybe they've been drinking, right? And your
Oh,
mind goes and tells a story all about this poor person that's stumbling on the street or looks dazed, when in reality, they have been diagnosed with dementia and they're lost. Would we
I know.
treat that person differently than the other one? Of course we would.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to talk about it. Communication is key.
Oh, exactly. Because I was a bus driver,
Were
and
you?
in Seattle and for King County Metro,
Uh-huh.
and I would work at night, and occasionally I would have a gentleman get on the bus, and he wouldn't say anything, and he'd go sit down, and then the bus says have a regular route. And then they come to the end of the route. And in this particular case, the end of the route was the end of my night. So then I would drive back to the base. And this gentleman just sat there.
Mm-hmm.
And he just
Yeah.
sat there. And he just sat there. And then we came to the end and I said, "This is the last stop." And he said, "Is this Seattle?" And we were in Maple Valley at the time. You would probably know where that is. And it's like, "No, we're not in Seattle." It's like, "Well, I want to go to Seattle." I said, "We were on the
Oh,
wrong," so I get that when you're confused like that, and then the natural reaction would be some of my fellow bus drivers would say, "Well, pal, this is the last stop. I'm going back to the base. Get off my bus." Now, Maple Valley, in the middle of the night, it's the last bus going either way. And I
oh,
could not imagine leaving a man that was not all there, that
mm,
was confused
mm.
out in the middle of the street. So I ended up calling it in and driving him back to where I picked him up. And then we had a supervisor come and get him and to take him where
Oh,
he belonged.
oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. Yeah. Wow. Nice,
but
nice of you, kind
well,
sir.
well, I don't have it in me to say, get off my bus, get off.
I know.
You
Wow.
you stand here until the next bus will be here at 5:00 in the morning, and this is midnight.
Yeah,
And
right. Right.
you know, and so you have to have some empathy for people and understand that it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with what's going on in their brain. And but I wanted to ask you, because you've been in this, I understand that there's Alzheimer's is here. There's cognitive problems here. Which are they all combined, or are they separate?
Well, there is the umbrella, and
Okay.
the umbrella would say dementia. And under that umbrella are spokes. And I think there's like 70 different kinds of dementia. About 60 or 70% of that is Alzheimer's. And the rest are vascular dementia, Parkinson's is a form of it. So there's different types, but the most one that is readily that you hear about is Alzheimer's disease. And
Now,
I like to call it a condition and not a disease, because when you hear that word, you just sort of go, ew, right? So, yeah. So,
yeah. Go ahead.
Nobody wants it, but enough of us have it.
Well, and many of us are going to get it,
yes.
Which is why nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, of course, because if you've had a relative, then your propensity to it is a little greater, right?
Right.
And we don't ever think that it's going to happen to us. Oh, my goodness. I never gave that a thought. And as we were sitting in that doctor's office that day before we got the actual diagnosis, my daughter said to me, Mom, why do you want to do this? Do you really want to do this? And I said, I think we have to, because I wasn't around my dad when all this took place. And I have forever and will forever until my dying day wish that I had lived closer to him and that I knew more about it. And so if I can save any child from being at this point and knowing, I mean, it is better to know about it than it is to know somebody that has it and know nothing about it. So it's just, we got to talk about it. We just got to talk about it. Well, and that helps you, and that helps me. And now they're saying lifestyle matters. Okay. So it's lifestyle. So you got to change your diet. If you're not eating properly, you have to get some exercise. If you're not doing that, you have and some of these things are free. I can go walk the blocks, right? That doesn't cost anything to walk around the block. Diet, you can just stop eating too, but you can eat greens and not fast food. That helps. And socially, stay social, because one of the things, and even with this pandemic, which I have found, is that, it's really comfortable to stay home. It is okay. No, I'm fine. I can just stay here. That's not good. And I don't think it's good for people with dementia. I think you have to push yourself. And I know we're not supposed to go out, and I get all of that. I'm just saying there are things you can do to make yourself get out of the house, though. And that's what you need to do. And
even if you can't get out of the house, Zoom has become a wonderful alternative.
It has become. It is good. And, you can watch on TV. You can watch early morning on PBS. And they have PBS everywhere, different times, of course. But I do the Miranda's Eccentrics, and it's stretching. And for 23 minutes, for a half hour, 23 minutes every morning, I get up and I stretch. And I have done all I need to do, really. I do more than that, but I do that, and it just starts my day wonderful. You can go outdoors, Kevin. You can be barefoot on the ground, dirt or grass, and just soak up Mother Earth, because the energy from the earth comes up. If you believe in that kind of thing, I believe in it. And there's a movie out called The Grounding. It's a scientific, it tells about the scientific basis of energy and Mother Nature and Earth.
See, I don't believe in energy. I know that there's energy. I know that it is all around us. It is, we are it. We are. That's why I say one of the things I say is that we're all one, because we're all based out of the same energy, the same stuff. If you
Mhm,
look at all of us, the difference between us is less than, regardless of our color or anything, is less than 1%, I believe,
mhm,
maybe 2. And
mhm,
so we are all energy, and our brains are run on electricity and energy.
mhm.
And really think that probably I gotta believe meditation would be helpful.
It is very helpful. It is very, very helpful. Um, and so these things we can do at the house, and you can do sit down exercises. I'm not talking about having to jump up and do things that you can't do. I'm just, every little bit helps, and we can do it for ourselves. We don't have to put our hand out when they say, and it happened to me when they said, you have such and such, here is a prescription to fill. And I said, no, thank you, not right now. I don't know enough.
Right, right.
And and maybe I'm lucky, maybe I'm blessed, but to this point, and I don't say never, I just say not now, and I'm still saying not now. So I feel very fortunate for that. But I do think that's because I'm sort of a, I don't know, rebellious kind of gal, I guess. I don't know.
What you are is somebody that is interested in helping other people understand what's going on with it, and the fact that there is some things that you can do with it about it. They don't know. Sitting here, if we were sitting in a doctor's office, they might say, well, it might help your cognition a little bit if, as an example, you decided to do a podcast and you had to think on your feet and you did it live and you had to be with people like yourself every day. He might say that, but I firmly believe that if you keep your mind active, if you
Right.
write poetry, if you do things that are important to yourself and follow your passion, that you can stave off some of this stuff.
And I totally agree with that. I think that we become, because there was a while when I was really in the beginning really having trouble, and I would acquiesce. I would sort of let my girls, pick up the parts and the pieces. And finally one day I said to self, get yourself up and get going, because this is not who you are. So another thing is I haven't bought into the diagnosis. I have never said I have. I have always said I have been diagnosed with. And I think
Right.
it makes a difference if you're going to ingest it and own it, or if you're going to look at it and say, okay, I see this and this. What can I do to make this better? And I'm no expert. I just share what I know has worked for me, and hopefully it'll work for someone else. And I hear all the time, hey, I tried that and it was really great. So,
Well, you are an expert in the fact that you are living it, and it's not an abstract thing for you. It is a day-to-day existence.
right.
And now, do you ever feel? I'm sure you do from time to time, that if you are, when you have a forgetful moment, I have that. It used to be that I had instant recall of anything that I wanted. I would just, my brain would just wham produce it. And now there are times when there's a name, I
Mm-hmm,
know the name, it's an
mm-hmm.
actor thing, and it's like, I know who that is. But the brain doesn't recall it. It doesn't bring it up like it used to.
You're
And
right.
uh, and that's because I'm getting a little longer in the tooth, which is why some of that's happening. But that happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And, there's a very thin line, when people they think, oh my gosh, I've got Alzheimer's and I'm just going to be quiet about it. And, and, um, and I say to them, that's certainly one way to do it. The other way, though, is if you're having, if you lose your keys and then you go find them, that's not an indication of Alzheimer's. If you start losing thing and put your keys in the refrigerator and put them in a pot to boil or something, that might be a different story. But it is good to find out. I found out early, and I can only say that early diagnosis is a wonderful thing. They have this Cleveland Clinic has healthybrains.org, and you can go on and just quietly yourself. There's 6 different areas, and you answer questions. You give the first name, and that's all, and your email address, and it comes back and it says, well, this is what you can do a little better. So under social, you can get out a little more because we have to stay social. That helps. We have to keep our mind active. You're right. Writing poetry, I think, has been my gift. And so you can. There's things you can do if you want to, and we need to want to, because this thing is just going off the walls. It's not stopping. And more and more and more people. The older we get, of course, the more people that are getting older, then of course we see it more often, and it is everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. I'm looking down here. The number of deaths from Alzheimer's in 2018 in just Nevada was 261% increase of deaths since 2000.
Wow.
So that's 20 years, 261% higher. It's the 6th largest cause of death. I mean, it's not to be feared, though.
No.
And you're the perfect show to say this. It's not to be feared. It's to turn around and look it in the face and say, okay, what can I do? Don't hold your hand out and hope somebody else that you've met for a nanosecond cares as much as you and your family care about what you're doing. And that's my big deal. Hey, I've got a real invested interest here.
Oh, absolutely. And so do your kids, and so does everybody that's around you. But I wanted to ask you, you went and had a test to see if you had the beginnings of what motivated you to take that test?
Well, here's the thing. Of course, in the back of my mind, I always knew about my dad, but that wasn't center and front. So I didn't pay any attention to that part of it. I went to the first doctor, and he said to me, you're having a problem, and I think you should go see a neurologist. I went to a neurologist that he suggested, and more tests. The first doctor did tests, the second doctor did tests, and the third doctor was I went to a third doctor, and he said, listen, before we run off wild here, let's get your diet in order. Let's get exercise in order. And I could, they asked me to draw a clock. I couldn't draw a clock, Kevin. I was like mortified. I turned around to Jennifer and said, I can't draw a clock. What the heck? I mean, it was like, and that sounds silly. But I didn't know where the 4 o'clock was. I can tell you that. And I didn't know how to put the numbers around the clock. And I was like, oh my goodness. And he said, don't panic. Don't panic, he said. Then he walked me through finishing the clock, right? And getting me on this diet. And then I began. And I thought, well, I'm not going to take these 3 words. I'm going to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I'm going to see what they say. And I bet they're going to tell me nothing's wrong with you. And they did. They did it. And that one really got me, kind of, right? But I just continued on with the only thing that I know and how I've treated my whole life is just put one foot in front of the other. It's all going to be okay.
That's all. That at the end of the day, all you have is today.
Right.
You don't have tomorrow. You can't do anything about yesterday. All you have is today. Now you can set up tomorrow through what you do today. But so it was a moment when you were going through the tests and stuff. It was because that you had noticed there was some things that you weren't doing like you used to be able to do. Right.
And I'd had by that time, I had a couple of doctors. I had a couple doctors telling me, and also, I would be driving in a road. I'd at that time been in Las Vegas 40 some years, right? And I knew the landscape. I'd been on those roads, and all of a sudden, and it happens today, but back then, all of a sudden, I'd be driving down the road and I wouldn't know where to go. And I literally learned how to pull over to the side of the road, grab from above, because focusing is what we need to do, not panicking, and say, where am I? I could not connect the roads. And until I could, I stayed at the side of the road getting my bearings. And over time decided, maybe I shouldn't be out later at night after dark. I mean, I would say 5-6 years into this, I thought, no, I shouldn't be out after dark. I think it's just common sense. I've been lucky to be able to hold on to that, because some people cannot. My doctor at Cleveland Clinic says you have learned how to compensate. And he said, you're lucky. You're lucky. You're blessed, because that really is what saves you. So people say to me all the time, "There's nothing wrong with you," and I say, "Thank you," because I'm not going to justify, right? I'm not going to defend what I don't say I have. So anyway, that's how I handle it. So that's why I ended up going to the doctor, is because I'd had enough people say, hey. And that's why I went. And the texts came back that looked like that was the problem. And I've always sort of looked at the fear that might be there and erased it if I could.
How would you counsel a family work with someone who is playing in the Nile in Egypt? They're full of denial, and they're not willing to. When they say, "I'm fine," they can't remember what they did yesterday, but I'm fine. They take cognitive tests and they say she should not be driving, and she's driving, and stuff. And so there's a lot of denial there. How would you counsel a family or her to deal with the realities that are setting in?
You've hit a soft spot for me, and I drive. And someday my children are going to have that kind of a discussion with me many years down the road, you understand.
Oh, many. Oh, yeah.
But it is a soft spot. And it's very, very, it's a hot spot for many, many people. And so, personalities come into play. And lots of times, if they'll go to a doctor, lots of them won't even go to a doctor. But if they would go to a doctor, you can on the side say to the doctor, I really think this is a problem. She's doing this, 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 and this, or he is. And I really we need some help, because she could be a disaster on the street, or he could be. So you can go that way. And it is true that that a lot of us listen more to doctors than we listen to people that love and have cared with us and for us all these years. So I like the third party approach. I was someplace today and listened to someone, and I just want to share this with you. Now, there are people who don't want to hear anything, right? I don't want to hear you. It's not me, and I don't have a problem. And yeah, but somebody in their world they might listen to, and if you know that someone, it's that someone in the world that can get the word across. And other than that, I don't know, because if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, and your person is not willing to listen to that, then it is a problem. It's a problem. The Alzheimer's Association is around in every state. And they can give a helping hand. There's lots of organizations online where you can go and ask questions and give what's happening, and they can come back and say, well, have you tried? There's a lot of support groups, Kevin. I love support groups. I'm involved in a Zoom support group out of Cleveland Clinic, Dementia Friendly Nevada. And it's called Dementia Conversations with Nancy and Kat. And it's open to anyone that wants to listen in, caregivers and people diagnosed. And it's just a place where you can hear, if you're willing, you might hear it from somebody else and say, hey, maybe I ought to pay attention to this. But they're everywhere. I mean, you can find all kinds of support groups online.
we're gonna go look at a support group or two to just to see. Now, the weird thing about Alzheimer's is that there doesn't seem to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, there doesn't seem to be a precursor to it. It's not like when you're 40s, maybe your family member had it or somebody that you knew had it, but it's not like you can say I'm going to get this. So there's a lot of denial that goes with it because nobody wants to have it.
Well, it's not a fun thing to have. If I may I read one of my poems?
Oh, please.
It will kind of show you, these poems are relative to how I was feeling in the moment that I wrote them. Okay? Yes. And I think it answers your question. I mean, it gives you a little insight into what I was thinking when I was going through it. And the title is I Am I. Littling down. Who is this less perky reflection of someone once known intimately to me? It is I. It's in these times I'd like no memory to serve me. The forgetfulness that simulates slighter, a reduced me, is who I am becoming. Already shrunk, my eyes less blue, lips less plunk, and shoulders lowering forward. It seems at times I'm drifting away, but no, I want to think this is just plain getting older. Aging, diminishing, fade, minimize, falter, saggy shoulders. Joining up with the reverberating voices, diagnosed AD, re-diagnosed mild cognitive impairment, monkey mind never at rest, ruining my inner brain dynamics, and cells sloughing off, leaving me with lack of reason and recall. I guess I must adjust to a future possibly relegated inside a shell of hell. Woe is me. But in advance, God bless my weary caregivers. Hold it, wait just a darn minute. Better to envision bright sunlight atop each room, an escape hatch. Float me high and count me in. No, count me out, the window up there. Let's call that hope and opportunity. Escape plan intact, and I muster myself happy. Stand taller, fuller, resilient. Grip a noble resolve, sunny disposition, shoulder edges back. Distinct, yoga pose complete. My body but a servant of my determination. I am a partner in my own survival. That counts. I am I. Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you.
That was really, really good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that's one of the 3 books that you've written, and you have a website. Let's talk about and what is it, and where can they go get your books?
Okay, the website is www.blueriverapple.com, and it tells a little about me and the books and all of that. You can get the books on Amazon. You can contact me, and I'll send you the books plus shipping. And it's an explanation. It's an inside view of an outside reality. And it's kindly said, and it's my stages. So I recommend people, the first book is Blue River Apple, an exploration of Alzheimer's through poetry. And I don't know if the poetry kills it for some people. It's simply shorter sentences, more poignant and to the point. I don't do well with long sentences and chapters. Can't keep them together. They just kind of mushroom out. The second one is a continuing exploration of Alzheimer's, Blue River Apple. And the third one, I have included letters from caregivers, loving family members who have taken care of their loved ones. And it is an inside view of a story of 15 of them, actually, of people who have donated their life to help the ones that they love. And there's no bigger sacrifice, really, and no thank yous at the end of it sometimes. That's the sad part.
I have a good friend that they moved in and they actually built a house with a mother-in-law apartment, and so
Mhm.
that their mom could move in, and everything was fine. And then she was diagnosed, and she ultimately passed away. But it was a, it is. I can't imagine. Well, yes, I can, because when it happened to my grandmother, the to watch someone that you dearly love change in the ways that Alzheimer's brings is it's horrible to watch.
It it is, and that's why I say God bless caregivers. I don't know what we'd do without them. It's a job nobody asked for, and yet so many so kindly take it upon themselves. And those that struggle, I think, you know, need to have a taste of your show, because really, it any struggle that we have a choice, really. If we can find that choice, we have a choice that says, I'm feeling really lousy today, a little ouchy, and you need to just leave me alone. And that would be the kind version. And, or I can say, you know what? My backyard that has a beautiful flower in it, and I'm going to go out there in the slight breeze and the coolness and crispness of just before spring, and I'm going to enjoy that moment. And it helps. We have to be willing to take that choice. And some people are unable to take that choice, and this is not, certainly no words against them. It is, something goes upstairs, and all I can say is I'm lucky, because so far, not me. But I'm very humble about that, because who knows, it could be tomorrow, because you can go along this like this very okay, and then all of a sudden you're down. So
Not
I
you,
know, yeah, I see it.
not you. You're not allowed. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I just say, I have this little disconnect. I know all about out there. I know it. I see it. I hear it. But I don't see me out there.
No.
That's a blessing.
It is, and other people don't see you out there either, because you are cognitively aware. You're able to get, this conversation has gone on perfectly well. There has been no doubt in my mind that you have it all together. The person that I was talking about earlier is far less. I- Can you still work your computer? I know
Yes,
you can, because you
I
got on
can.
today.
But you know what? I can. But not well. Anybody that knows me know I'm not very techy, and I lose. So,
But you got
but
on this. You got on here real easily.
well, you made it darn easy for me there, Kevin. You just told me to hit the button. I could do that. You should see me when I can't get on a Zoom call. Let me tell you. I mean, it. I tell people, and I've learned to laugh at myself a lot of times, but sometimes I I go someplace in the wrong days. I'm on the wrong street, and then it's like I take a step there and I step back. No, I'm over here. I step back.
Oh,
Drop your computer. I can't
wow.
move. Drop your computer. But I do that, and I'm all flustered and can't get on where I'm supposed to be at the right time, or I get the wrong date, or all of that. And yet when I get on, I say hi. So I think, so I say thank you when they say there's nothing wrong with me, and I want to say I wish you were with me an hour ago.
But part of that is, we can chalk some of that to getting old. My sister, who is a little bit older than me, and we were talking about like when you were saying everything's falling apart and stuff. This is getting old stuff. I'm going to say something that is profound.
Okay,
Getting old sucks.
that's right. It does.
You can't do what you used to be able to do. You
That's
can't
right.
eat what you used to be able to. You can't, so you have to make adjustments, and you are handling it and making the adjustments beautifully. And I
Well,
applaud
thank you. Thank you. I'm going to call you someday when I'm not doing quite so well. Give you
you.
a review.
To the best of my ability.
I
We,
know you would. I know you would. And I wish you the best walk that a person can have that has someone that is struggling with. I think it's almost worse when you have denial, because you're fighting so hard not to fall apart publicly. Each time I make a mistake, I tell a story about a dear friend called. She had stage 4 cancer, and she was not doing well, and she wanted me to join him for a celebration dinner, and I said yes. And at 6:30 that night, I get a telephone call. Where are you? We're waiting for you at such and such fine dining restaurant. I was sick, and I had talked to her earlier in the day. So, you can be going along really well, and then all of a sudden something like that happens, and it's like it just knocks you off, and it's a cha-ching in your armor. So then when you leave the water running in the backyard and you flooded it out, what's that? That's another cha-ching, right? So then what happens tomorrow or the next day, you're not over what happened today. And so it's a deeper ching. And before you know it, you have no self-esteem. You don't have the courage to voice things because you don't want to make a mistake and sound silly. I've just kind of gotten over that, okay, I make a lot of mistakes and I sound a lot silly, and and I'm sorry, but that's kind of where I am. But a lot of people can't do that. And we're taking their, and these are people, that are, executives, or they can be people that work hard day in and day out. Not that executives don't get me wrong. But at any rate, you know what I'm saying. And so it hits anybody and everybody, but we all have pride and self-esteem and need it. And it's not about what you can say to who is it in your family? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
It's my 90-year-old grandmother.
Your mother. So, it's internal.
Yeah.
It's that you feel foolish. It's that what I just said didn't make any sense. Or it's like, and please, I a couple times thought, am I rambling here? Pull an ear. I don't know. It's like we just have to do the best we can. And if we can smile through it and help, I don't know.
It would be so much, at least from my perspective, in the situation that we find ourselves in, it would be so much better if she took the attitude that I'm going to go to the doctor and I'm going to find out, take all the tests, do what I need to do, and then I'm going to figure out how I can live my life to the best of my ability for as long as I have. That would be, rather than saying it doesn't exist, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. What'd you say? I can't remember that. Or scratches appear on the car and we don't know why, and she doesn't either, and things like that. Then you can see that things are not how they could be, but it's hard for us because we can't even talk about it.
I get it. And scratches on the car. Okay, true confession, just between you and I, Kevin. I have scratches on my car. Okay, and so I honestly say I don't remember that happening, and I would remember it, right? And my voice gets a little louder. I think, what the heck? I think these people are just finding my car and rubbing their way through it and bumping it on the side. I truly believe that.
I don't doubt that.
And I'll bet your mom says the same thing if she were driving. So I don't know. At what point is your mind playing tricks, or at what point is it really happening? Well, I think somebody's playing games with my car. So there you go.
By the way, we've been talking with Nancy Nelson. She is in Las Vegas. She is an author. She writes poetry. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's years ago now, and she's doing well. She's a delightful individual. She's got a great smile on her face, and that you just light up. I'll bet you just light up the room when you walk in.
Well, I've been told that. But thank you. It's always good to hear. I appreciate it.
And they meant it when they said that to you, because it's a rare commodity when somebody is able to do that, to bring, you and I believe in energy, and to bring that positive energy that you can affect other people by where they're sitting, and by bringing positive energy, you can make the situation a whole lot better.
You can. And I get, back when we could hug, I would get so many hugs after I would speak, because people want that energy. And I'm saying, go out in your backyard. If you have a backyard, put your bare feet on the grass.
Yep. I implore people, because I've said this on the show before, but I implore you, go to a forest, look at a big tree, and put your hands on the tree. You will feel the vibration.
You know that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does work. People look at me like I'm crazy, but it does work.
Well, you could tell me.
Well, maybe I am. Maybe that's my problem. I'm old and crazy.
Well, I've been working with this. I started working with this in like 2002, and just learning. We used to play a game. I implore people to play a game, and you have somebody stand up straight, close their eyes, and then somebody else take one hand in front of their chest and one hand behind their chest, and just slowly move your hands back and forth. Don't touch the person. Their eyes are closed. They can't see you. And what you'll find is they will start rocking back and forth with the movement of your hands, because it's the energy.
I haven't done that. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, try that sometime. Because for those of us who don't believe in such crazy notions, and is that there is energy, and it can affect you in a positive way. It can also, I believe, keep you from going down the road as nearly as quickly as you might otherwise. You have faith and you have belief.
That's right. I agree with you. That is true, and that is those are my thoughts. If we can stay positive, if we can look for that hope, and communicate, we laugh. We all laugh a lot about. I hear from my kids what I'm doing. And they're very, very supportive. And sometimes I hear what they say, and I think I didn't do it like that, but I guess I did.
And the thing is, as long as you can laugh at yourself and realize that the reality is that we are all a spiritual being in occupying a physical body, and at one point our physical body is going to no longer work. Right. And when it no longer works, that doesn't mean that we go away. It just means that we're off to our next adventure.
Right. Well, and I would ask you, Kevin, do you want your brain to go first or your body?
I've thought. Fortunately, I would rather, because you see, I've had 7 surgeries in my life. I've had both my hips replaced. I have back surgery. I had last year my rotator cuff got torn, and I had to repair that. And then my tricep tendon on the other side got torn, and I had to repair that. I had to retire. But the fortunate thing is my voice and my brain still work. As long as they can just prop me up in the corner and say, "Hi, and here we are at the show again."
Well, yeah. So yep. And I don't know the answer to the question. And I ask myself all the time, would you rather your brain go or your body go? Do I want to be here if I don't know where I am? No. Do I want to be on a burden to anyone in my family who has so lovingly taken on this mission? No. But having said that, the longer that I can talk and stay social and move, and I highly recommend the PBS classical stretch exercise for you, sir. It would be good for your body. Because your mind's going great, so you want to hold on to that body too. I don't think we can have one without the other. I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And you have to be very careful about it. And I'm working on it. I'm trying. I'm
Okay.
I,
And I'm working on my brain, so there we go.
there you go. And by the way, before we go, what would you like to tell our audience? You have the floor. You can say anything you like.
I would like to say thank you for listening today. I am humble to be able to be on Kevin's show. I believe in his theory of my independence. I think we all can do more than maybe we give ourselves credit for, and that this body that we are in is not us. However, we cannot on earth get along without it, so we have to take care of it. And turn around if you have fear in your life that you don't want to pay attention to. Turn around and look at it. And it really isn't as fearsome as you think it might be. I stand in front of it, not behind it. I make no apologies. I just try to live each day as best I can. And I wish that for you.
I wish I had said that. That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. and by the way, let's talk about. By the way, where did the name of your website come from?
Well, when you go to the doctor to find out if your mind is silly or not, they ask you to remember 3 or 5 words. And Blue River Apple were 3 words that they asked me to remember, along with the plethora of other things that they ask you, that they give you a ruling on that you I think it's 30. And I couldn't put the word, I couldn't remember the words. It was silly. It was very silly. And it was as silly as not being able to draw the clock, for crying out loud. But those are part of the ways. It is, they have nothing that is just perfect in telling you what's happening to you. They're better at it today than they were 8 years ago, for sure. But anyway, that's what Blue River Apple were the words. I'm hoping I'll never forget them. I don't know.
Blue River Apple is the website to go to, and you can find out. Yep, find out all about the books. Find out all about her, and for a donation of $100, she'll send you a book. I'm kidding.
Yes, that's great. I take all of the money, most of the money after expenses, to pay for Alzheimer's causes here locally in Las Vegas. I think that we have to give back, and that is part of a good thing that I've been able to do. And so I thank people. You can, if you want a book signed, you can go through the website, and I'll mail you and you can pay on the website.
Yep, just $100 would be great.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll send you that, right?
No, what's interesting about that is that I've been doing this now for my independence report for 19 months, and I've been doing this on and off for the last 20 years. I just love doing it. Don't take a dime from it. Don't make anything from it. It's all because it's something that I love to do, because talking to people like you're going to help somebody, then you'll never know who they are.
Right. You don't ever know. It oftentimes is people that you're awed by, and they will come up and say something. And yes, and I make small peanuts to what someone else might give and be able to give, but it's given from the heart, and I think there's probably nothing better than that.
And what's even more cool and more cooler? Look at me.
Okay.
I'm an English major as well. But there was a guy that lived in your town of Las Vegas. His name was Michael Starantino, and he was an energy healer. He wrote a book called Your Healing Hands. He told everybody that they could do the same thing that he does. And I interviewed him in 2003. When I first did put my independence report up, I put some old shows from that era, including Neil Donald Walsh and Gary Zukav and people like Michael Starantino, and because they were great shows from what I did before. And so I get an email 4 days ago now, and the guy said, Michael Starantino was great. How do I get a hold of him? Well, he died in 2013, but his message is still alive. And your message, regardless of what happens in the future, your loveliness, your message, your bravery, everything that you are, will stay alive. And I've promised, my children have promised to keep this podcast up because I'm going to haunt them. I'm going to hunt their ass once I'm gone if they don't keep it up. So they're planning on doing that, and so that people can hear your message, because your message is so powerful.
Thank you, and I'm going to keep in touch with you, Kevin. I like you.
I like you too. I like you. You've got a wonderfully positive energy, and that is so cool.
Thank you so much for letting me come on.
Oh no, I appreciate you greatly, and I'm sorry, the gentleman, what's his name?
Stephen Murray.
Stephen,
a fabulous author. Yes.
Yes, and he was on the show about a month ago now.
Yes.
I guess 3 weeks or so, somewhere in there. I'm doing so many of these now. Do you know I'm doing like anywhere from 9 to 11 of these a week?
Are you?
Yes.
Well, that's really. I know you do other people other than authors, but we authors are grateful.
Well, you guys have got you're like everybody else, only you've taken you've made the decision that you're going to take what you believe and put it into writing and help other people.
That is exactly the truth.
So, and that's why you do what you do, because I tell you, the hardest thing in the world is being a published author and making enough money to live on it.
Right.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's not a gold mine unless you're famous, and
But if there's anything I can do to get word out about your poetry and your work, and by the way, I think somebody that is going through what you have been going through for the last 8 years will benefit by reading these books, because they can get a blow by blow of what's going on with you and how you're feeling from time to time, right?
And maybe give you a better understanding of someone that you love that is going through dementia, and if both sides understand each other just a little bit better, they don't fall in that divisive black hole of resentment.
You're right. And by the way, I've been trying to find a book somebody about dementia for a very long time, and it's the fact that nobody wants to talk about it. And so I appreciate the fact that you're brave enough to come out and talk about it and to share your story with us today, because it will help somebody.
I hope. Thank you so much.
No doubt in my mind, somebody will email you down the road and they'll say, thank you. You helped me understand what I'm about to go through, and how to combat it, and how to make it better for me and my family. So, well,
Stephen and I have a project going, and I'm thinking we'll like to contact you when we get that off the ground.
Absolutely. Would you get it going? My little Alzheimer's
and caregivers.
Cool. That's really cool, because my little project is getting bigger and growing, and so I'm gonna stay doing this for as long as I can. So I appreciate.
You are very good at it, and it has been a pleasure.
Nancy Nelson has been our guest. Go to our website, which is let's see if I can hold on. Tree Apple. Oh crap! What's the name of your website?
Did I put you on the spot? Blue River Apple.
Blue River
Apple. You were close with tree.
Well, I think it was something like that. But so I need to go see my doctor now.
Okay.
Nancy, thank you so much. If you'd hang on the line for a second, I've got to close out, and then I'll be right back.
Okay, great.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.